Chapter 1: The Woman in the Shadow City. Strathlarin was wrong. Cities weren't meant to breathe. But this one did, each alley inhaling mist, each crooked lantern exhaling a hush of silver smoke. The city of the broken clock thrummed like a pulse trapped beneath cobblestone, its seams stitched with old magic and newer scars. Gears clicked below the streets, ancient machinery the world believed myth, while spectral bridges reassembled themselves with whispers of forgotten names. And it was here, in this forbidden liminal place, that Darian Velros smelled her. Nila. A scent he had memorized long before he ever earned his crown, frost-kissed lavender and something softer, something he lost. Something he buried. Something he mourned. His wolf lunged inside him, prowling against the cage of his ribs so violently he nearly staggered. Impossible. The moon above Strathlarin's skyline flickered like a broken lantern as Darian advanced deeper into the district. Shadows trembled around him, stepping wide as if the darkness itself feared the Alpha King of Ilarion. His boots crushed through puddles of liquid starlight, each one reflecting the face of a man who looked carved from command and regret. Nila Zand was dead. He had mourned her. Burned the cliffside she vanished from. Ripped apart the forest searching for her body. Declared 7 days of silence across Ilarion. And now the air itself told him she lived? His jaw clenched as his steps carried him past a crooked steam grate. Vents hissed like serpents, filling the air with metallic fog. Far below, the old clockwork systems groaned, gears shifting with the aching pace of a world far too old to die. Strathlarin was a graveyard of forgotten things. So perhaps it was fitting she was here. Darian reached the door, an iron archway carved with runes that once meant sanctuary but now looked more like warnings. His hand hovered over the handle. Then he gripped it and ripped it open. The old hinges screamed. Dust spilled like ash. A single lantern flickered inside, its flame caught in a cage of twisting gears that spun slowly, endlessly. And in the center of the room, standing beside a battered healer's table, was Nila, alive. Her hair fell in dark waves, tangled from fear rather than court elegance. Shadows clung to her like a second skin. A silver dagger glinted in her trembling hand, pointed defensively toward the doorway. Toward him. Her eyes widened, and the world tilted. Darian's breath hitched. His wolf surged forward, snarling possessively, painfully. Nila, his voice broke low and raw. By the gods. Stay back. Her whisper carried years of grief and terror. You shouldn't be here. He stepped inside anyway. She took a step back. He took another step forward, the door slamming shut behind him with a metallic shriek. Nila, he said again, quieter this time. You're alive. She swallowed, the lantern light catching the line of her throat. You weren't supposed to find me. His chest tightened. Anger. Relief. Disbelief. And beneath all of it, regret so sharp it nearly gutted him. I buried you, he whispered. I held your cloak from the cliffs. I mourned you for months. His voice hardened. Tell me who lied to me. No answer. Her fingers tightened around the dagger. Her breath trembled. She was terrified of him. Of him. Darian's jaw flexed, his heartbeat thrumming through the cramped sanctuary. What did they do to you? His voice cracked like splitting stone. Nila, look at me. Her eyes finally lifted. And the moment they met his, something inside him broke. She looked older. Not in body, but in soul. A woman who had survived something he had not. A woman who no longer recognized the man who once vowed to protect her. I'm not that woman anymore, she whispered. His chest ached. You're mine. The dagger flashed up between them. No, she said, voice shaking. Not anymore. Darian stared at her. He could smell her fear, her exhaustion, her heartbeat skipping like a bird caught in a cage. But beneath all of that, beneath the terror and defiance, there was something else. regret, and the faintest embers of their old bond, buried beneath ash. He reached out a hand. Nila. A soft noise cut him off. A child's giggle. Darian froze. Nila's face drained of color. The sound echoed again, two small laughs, bright and unmistakably close, from behind the thin wooden door to their right. Darian's wolf went still. 2 heartbeats. 2 small heartbeats. He turned toward the door, stunned. Nila, he breathed, voice trembling. Who else is here? Her expression shattered, and a tiny voice from the next room murmured, Mama? Is the bad man back? Chapter 2, The Night of Betrayal. Ilarion had always been cruel. But on the night Nila Zan's world shattered, it was beautiful. Silver lanterns floated in the air like tethered moons. Wolf banners hung from obsidian pillars. The grand lunar hall shimmered with crystal frost, a testament to the kingdom's wealth and arrogance. Every noble prowled in silk and polished claws, their laughter sharpened by secrets. Nila moved through them quietly, her hands clasped behind her spine, her Luna's crown weighing heavier than usual. Maybe it was the way the air felt charged. Maybe it was the way Darian wasn't by her side yet. Or maybe it was simply fear, quiet, coiling, familiar. She should have listened to it. A servant brushed past, accidentally catching her sleeve. My lady, you should know. Before she could finish, a soft voice cut across the hall, smooth as poison poured over honey. There you are. Layla glided forward in a gown of violet serpent silk, her beauty almost weaponized. The other nobles parted for her as though she were already queen. Her lips curved. I was wondering when you'd show your face, Nila. Nila stiffened. It is Luna Nila to you. Layla's smile widened. Oh, not for long. Before Nila could respond, the hall erupted into motion. A wave of bowing nobles and whispers signaled the entrance of Darian Velros, Alpha King of Ilarion. Power radiated off him in hot waves, the kind that demanded submission. But even from across the hall, she saw it, the way his gaze slid right past her. The way Layla moved to greet him first. The way he let her. Nila's heartbeat faltered. Darian dipped his head politely toward the crowd. Thank you all for attending. His voice rolled through the hall with all the force of thunder, confident, commanding, impossibly distant. And then Layla took a step closer to him. Too close. Close enough that the nobles began to murmur. Nila walked toward him, spine straight, chin held high. She was the Luna. His wife. His mate. But for the first time in their marriage, he did not look relieved to see her. Nila. Just her name. Flat. Cold. Layla folded her arms delicately, eyes gleaming with triumph. Shall we begin? She announced loudly, grabbing Darian's hand. It's time. Time for what? A herald stepped forward with a scroll. The royal announcement. Darian didn't even look at Nila as he nodded at the herald to continue. Tonight, the herald boomed, before the court of Ilarion, we celebrate the blessing bestowed upon the royal line. Nila frowned. Her pulse stuttered. The coming of the king's first heir. The hall erupted in gasps. Nila felt the floor tilt beneath her. No, that wasn't possible. Her gaze snapped to Darian, desperate. Pleading. He said nothing. And Layla placed a hand over her stomach, feigning demure modesty as the nobles surged to congratulate her. You're pregnant. Nila whispered, a tremor in her voice. Layla patted her belly. With a smirk. It seems the moon favored the right woman. Nila couldn't breathe. Her lungs refused to work. Darian, she said, her voice cracking. Tell me this isn't true. The king's jaw tightened. For a heartbeat, just a heartbeat, she saw guilt. Pain. Something that resembled the man she married. Then his expression deadened. We needed an heir, he said quietly. You couldn't give me one. Her heart splintered. I tried, she whispered. Darian, I tried. His mother, Lady Cerys, stepped from the shadows like a blade unsheathed. Her silver eyes were frost. Her smile was cruelty incarnate. My dear, Lady Cerys crooned loudly enough for the room to hear, you were never meant to carry the Velros line. Some wombs simply fail their purpose. A roar of laughter swelled among the cruelest nobles. Nila felt the humiliation stretch her skin, burning her from the inside out. Her nails dug into her palms until she tasted iron in the air, her own blood. She fought tears, swallowed them down like poison. This isn't a celebration, she whispered. It's an execution. Lady Cerys leaned in, voice dripping venom. Oh child, if only it were that simple. The hall dimmed. Torches flickered. A cold slither of dread crawled up Nila's spine. The herald cleared his throat shakily. There is more. The parchment unfurled to its final lines. By decree of Her Highness Lady Cerys Velros and approved by the Crown. Darian didn't stop him. Didn't say a word. Didn't even look at Nila. Luna Nila Zand is hereby relieved of all royal duties and exiled to the borderlands effective immediately, for the stability of the realm. The hall went silent. Nila's vision blurred. Exiled. Discarded. Replaced. Just like that. Layla's smile sharpened as she whispered, Do take care on the road, darling. The cliffs are terribly steep at night. A chill sliced through Nila's spine. And somewhere deep inside her, something broke awake. As the guards reached for her arms, Nila felt a surge of dark heat in her veins, an ancient power stirring, and the floor beneath her cracked with a noise like a heartbeat rupturing. Chapter 3: The Fall. The borderlands of Alarion were nothing like the shimmering Grand Lunar Hall. They were raw, wind-carved, merciless. Cliffs rose like jagged fangs against a bruised sky, their edges crumbling beneath constant storms. Pines bent sideways under the weight of freezing winds. The moon, usually steady over the kingdom of wolves, hung fractured tonight, a smear of pale silver bleeding through cloud. Nila Zand stood in the back of a rattling carriage, wrists bound, skirt torn, crown discarded somewhere on the palace floor behind her. 2 royal guards flanked her, silent men wearing the Velros crest, wolves engraved over black iron. She stared out at the cliffs with a numbness that tasted like iron and grief. Once, she rode these roads as the Luna of Alarion. Servants bowed. Wolves kneeled. Darian would place his hand over hers when the wind grew sharp. Now the wind cut through her like a blade. The carriage jerked violently as one of the wheels struck a stone. Pain shot through her shoulder as she collided with the wooden wall. The guards didn't glance her way. Just as they never had during the banquet. Just as Darian hadn't. Her husband. Her king. Her mate. The man who once whispered oaths into her hair had looked at her tonight as though she were a stranger wearing his wife's face. Nila squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the tremor in her chest. Tell me the truth, she whispered to the night wind. Was I ever more than a placeholder? Thunder rolled in the distance, answerless. The carriage slowed. Gravel crunched beneath the wheels. One guard knocked on the roof. We're here. Here. The cliffs. The most dangerous stretch of Alarion. The place Lady Cerys once described as an easy place for accidents. Nila's pulse spiked. The guard opened the carriage door, grabbing her arm. His grip was too tight. Cruel. Intentional. You don't need to restrain me, Nila said, voice strained but steady. The guard snorted. Orders from Lady Cerys. Not from Darian. Lady Cerys. The distinction shouldn't matter. But it cut her deeper than she expected. They marched her toward the ledge. Wind whipped her cloak violently. The drop below roared with waves smashing against stone, far, far below. The moon cast a cold alley of light across the cliffside. Nila's breath hitched. Something felt wrong. Not just the exile. Not just the cold. The guards weren't planning to let her reach the border. Her heart pounded. "Why stop here?" she asked, voice barely steady. "The border is still a mile east." Neither answered. Both unsheathed blades. The steel gleamed. Her stomach dropped. No, Nila stepped back until her heels hit the crumbling edge. Darian wouldn't. "We don't take orders from the king tonight," the larger guard muttered. Her blood turned to ice. This wasn't exile. This was execution. Nila's throat tightened. She looked between the blades, the men, the abyss behind her. "Why?" she choked out. "What threat am I?" The smaller guard hesitated, just a flicker. "Lady Ceres said you were carrying something. Something dangerous." Her breath froze. A hand pressed to her lower belly without permission. A tiny flutter she hadn't dared interpret these past few days. The world tilted. No. Gods, no. But she couldn't lie to herself anymore. She was late. She was sick every morning. She felt the faint warmth in her womb, the one she thought was grief. She wasn't empty. She wasn't incapable. She wasn't barren. She was pregnant. Darian's child. The real first heir of Alarion. And this was why they wanted her dead. The larger guard raised his blade. "Apologies, Luna." She stumbled backward, heels scraping gravel. Her heart hammered so loudly she couldn't hear the sea anymore, only that pulsing terror, pounding against bone. Then the cliff gave way. Stone cracked under her weight. She gasped. And fell. The world became a tumbling blur of wind and night and moonlight slicing her vision apart. Her body slammed into jagged rock, pain exploding white-hot. Water surged closer, roaring like a hungry god. "I'm sorry," she thought through the agony. "My baby, forgive me." The sea swallowed her whole. Cold. Dark. Absolute. The impact shattered something inside her, but not her mind. Not her will. Not entirely. Because in the deepest black, a force pulsed through her veins, ancient, hungry, alive. It wasn't wolf. It wasn't human. It whispered in a voice she felt inside her bones. Live. Her eyes snapped open underwater, glowing silver like split moons. Her fingers clawed upward. Her lungs burned. Her magic surged. She kicked toward the surface, toward air, toward life, toward vengeance. But before her head broke the waves, a shadowy figure reached down, grabbed her wrist, and yanked her into a glowing rift in the cliffside rock. As consciousness faded, she saw the impossible. Strathlarin, a city that should not exist, glimmering beyond the veil, waiting to take her in. Chapter 4: The Wolf Who Failed His Mate. Strathlarin always smelled like rain that never fell. Mist curled through the fractured streets, slipping around leaning towers and crooked bridges built from forgotten centuries. The gears beneath the stone clicked in slow rotations, their rhythm soft but persistent, like a tired heart refusing to stop beating. Bioluminescent moss glowed along the alley walls, pulsing with eerie teal light whenever someone breathed too loudly. Tonight, the entire city pulsed. Because Darian Velros was inside it. He moved through the lantern-lit corridor of the healer's sanctuary, every step a war between fury and disbelief. The scent of old herbs mingled with copper and moon dust, but beneath it all was something far more disorienting. Even after years, his body reacted violently. His heart raced. His wolf clawed at his insides, howling her name with a desperation he refused to acknowledge. Nila stood near the warped window, her fingers trembling around the edge of a battered table. Moonlight from Strathlarin's fractured sky cut across her face, illuminating the shadows beneath her eyes, shadows that hadn't been there the last time he held her. "What did they do to you?" Darian asked. It wasn't a demand. It was a wound. And it slipped out before he could stop it. Nila flinched. Almost imperceptibly. But he saw it. Her silence felt like a slap. He stepped closer, slow, deliberate, like approaching a wild creature that had once trusted him but now feared his touch. The floor groaned beneath his boots. The steam pipes overhead hissed as if warning her. She backed away. His chest tightened. "Nila," he said softly, the name crumbling in his mouth. "Look at me." "I don't want to," she whispered. That hurt more than anything Lady Cerys's venom ever had. "You're afraid of me now." His voice was low, breaking. "Why? What have they told you? What lies did they feed you?" Her jaw clenched. Her throat bobbed with hard-swallowed grief. "That you let them," she whispered. Darian stilled. "You let them replace me. You let them humiliate me. You let them exile me." Her voice cracked like a fragile blade. "And when they dragged me to those cliffs, Darian, your guards wore your crest." His lungs froze. The room dimmed. The lantern sputtered. The gears under the floor halted for a single beat. "That's not possible," he rasped. "I never ordered. You never stopped them either." The truth hit him like a killing blow. He stepped forward, but she raised her hand, the same hand that had once fit so easily against his chest. Now it shook. Now it was a shield. "Don't come closer," she breathed. "Your presence, it hurts." "It hurts me too," he said, the words nearly a growl. "But I need you to understand, I didn't know. If I had." "If you had cared," she cut in, trembling, "you would have asked questions." The guilt was suffocating. Darian dragged in a shuddering breath, claws threatening to tear from his fingers. "I searched for you," he said. "I burned down half the kingdom trying to find your body." "That doesn't sound like a man who believed his wife," she whispered. "That sounds like a king afraid of scandal." He flinched, physically, like she'd stabbed him. The steam pipes rattled. The lantern's gears spun faster, casting flickering shadows across the sanctuary walls. "Nila," his voice dropped to a growl. "I'm not letting you walk away from me again. Not when I finally." "Again." She laughed, brittle. "Darian, I didn't walk away the first time. I was pushed." Silence cracked between them. For the first time in years, Darian felt powerless. Not as a king. Not as an alpha. As a man standing before a woman whose tears, whose absence, had gutted him. His voice softened. Dangerously. Desperately. "Let me fix this." "You can't." "I will." "You can't," she repeated, louder this time. "Because even if you brought the whole kingdom to its knees, I can't return to Ilarion. Not anymore." "Why not?" Her gaze flickered. Her fingers curled around her arm. Fear slipped through her composure. "Nila," he murmured. "Tell me." But she said nothing. So he reached for her wrist, slowly, gently. Contact. Warm skin. Her pulse jumped. Then she recoiled like he'd burned her, stumbling into the table. His heart cracked. His wolf snarled in agony. "Nila, what?" She shook her head violently. "Don't touch me. I can't." "Why?" His voice was a raw, feral whisper. "What changed you?" Her lips trembled. Her eyes shined with something he didn't recognize. "Everything," she whispered. And before he could press her, before he could demand, beg or break, the old wooden door behind her creaked open. Two small shadows peeked from the dimly lit room. Two children. Twins. A little boy with Darian's eyes. A little girl with Darian's snarl. Darian went still. The world blurred. His heartbeat roared in his skull. The boy lifted his chin, brave but trembling. "Mama," he asked softly, "is the man who hurt you back?" Chapter 5, The Twins in the Shadow City. For a heartbeat, Darian Velros forgot how to breathe. Two children stood in the doorway, half hidden by dim lantern light, framed by the steam drifting from the corridor. Their silhouettes were fragile. Small. Human-like. But their eyes? Their eyes were mirrors of his. The boy's irises glowed a dark amber, Darian's exact shade when he was young and unscarred by power. The girl's gaze was sharper, silver at the edges, a gleam he saw in the mirror whenever he was pushed toward rage. His heir's eyes. His blood. His blood. Nila rushed forward, stepping between the children and Darian in an instinctive protective sweep of her arm. "Back to your room," she whispered. But the twins didn't move. They stared at Darian with the unblinking boldness of wolf cubs who had learned to survive without a pack. Darian's breath shook. "How?" His voice cracked. "Impossible. Impossible." The boy spoke first, chin trembling though he tried to hide it. "Mama said monsters can't hurt us here." He swallowed, eyes cutting toward Darian. "But you look like the man from the cliffs." Nila stiffened, fingers curling. Darian flinched as if struck. "Nila." He stared at her, stunned, shattered. How long have you been hiding them from me?" Her jaw locked. Her eyes burned with fury and fear both. "Long enough to keep them alive." The answer hit him like a blade. The twins clung to her sides now, small hands gripping her torn sleeves. The girl lifted her chin with fierce defiance. "Do you hurt Mama again?" she asked Darian. Her voice was so small, so sharp, so familiar. "No," Darian rasped. His chest squeezed painfully. "I would never hurt her." Nila laughed softly, no humor, no warmth. "You already did." The gears beneath the sanctuary floor groaned as though wincing with him. The steam pipes hissed in slow bursts. Strathlarin itself seemed to hold its breath. "Mine," Darian whispered under his breath before he could stop it. Nila's eyes snapped to him. "What did you say?" He hadn't meant to speak it aloud. But the wolf inside him was howling, possessive, feral, broken. "They're mine," he said, voice roughening. "Aren't they?" Nila's throat bobbed. She turned her face away, but the twins stepped closer, almost answering for her. The boy tilted his head in a way Darian had done his whole life. "Mama says our papa was a king." Darian's knees nearly buckled. "A king. Ilarion. Him." "Why didn't you come for us?" the girl whispered, voice barely audible. That was the strike that finished breaking him. Darian stepped forward before he could stop himself, but the twins shrank back instantly, and Nila lifted her hand, palm shaking. "Don't," she breathed. "You're scaring them." "Scaring them?" His voice cracked. "Nila, gods, I didn't know they existed." "Exactly." Her voice sharpened. "You didn't know. You didn't ask. You didn't care enough to question why your Luna died screaming on your border cliffs." "That's not," he started, but she cut him off. "Your guards wore your crest, Darian." Her voice trembled. "They dragged me to the edge like I was nothing. Like I was disposable." She wrapped her arms around the twins. Protective. Terrified. Burning with old wounds. "And I had just found out I was pregnant," she whispered. The floor seemed to drop beneath him. "Pregnant. With his heirs. The future of Ilarion. And that's why your mother wanted me gone," Nila said quietly. "So Layla's lie could stand. So her heir could replace the bloodline I carried." Darian's vision blurred for a moment, rage flooding every vein. Lady Cerys. Layla. The court. The wolves he trusted. They had taken everything from him. From her. From these children. The boy stepped forward again, hesitant, shaking. "If you're not the monster," he whispered, "then why did Mama have to hide us?" Darian knelt. It wasn't conscious. It wasn't royal. It wasn't calculated. It was instinct. Submission. A plea. "I am not your monster," he said softly. His voice broke. "I swear it on the moon. On my life. On the crown of Ilarion." The girl blinked. The boy swallowed. Nila looked away, tears finally slipping down her cheek. The silence quivered like glass. Then, a low rumble shook the sanctuary wall. The lantern flickered violently. The gears beneath the floor ground to a halt. Nila stiffened. Her hand tightened around the twins. "No," she whispered. "It's too soon." Darian rose instantly. "What's too soon?" Another rumble, closer this time. The air darkened. Shadows crawled up the walls like living ink. The twins huddled close to Nila. Her eyes glowed faintly, silvered at the edges. "The Shadowbound," she whispered. "They found me." Chapter 6, The Secret She Kept. The walls of the healer's sanctuary shuddered as if something enormous scraped its claws along the exterior. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The lantern gears spun wildly, casting fractured light across the room. Darian instinctively stepped in front of Nila and the twins. "Get back," he growled. But Nila pulled the children behind her instead, shielding them from him as much as from whatever stalked outside. Another tremor rippled through the stone. A low, wet howl seeped through the cracks in the wall. Darian's spine stiffened. "What in the moon's name is that?" Nila's voice was thin, barely steady. "Shadowbound." The word tasted of rot and old magic. Even the city's air recoiled from it. Darian frowned. "Those creatures are extinct." "No," she whispered. "Just forbidden." The floor jolted. The steam pipes above them hissed and burst, releasing scalding vapor that curled like ghostly fingers through the room. Darian pulled Nila closer. "Tell me what's coming for you." Her eyes glowed faintly, too bright, too silver, too wrong. "Not for me," she whispered. "For the curse." "What curse?" he demanded. The twins clung to her legs. Their bodies trembled. "Nila," Darian pressed, voice sharpening. "Tell me what you're carrying." Lightning cracked outside, illuminating a fractured silhouette oozing along the wall, something tall, spined, and eyeless. Its shadow seeped through the stone as though the barrier between realms meant nothing. Nila's pulse raced. Sweat slicked her brow. The boy tugged on her skirt. "Mama, it's whispering again." The girl buried her face against Nila's hip. "It says we're not supposed to exist." Darian reacted instantly, rage ripping through him. "No one threatens my children," he snarled. Nila's breath hitched. Her children. His children. Their children. The truth sat between them like a flame she tried desperately to smother. "Nila," Darian said, stepping closer, lowering his voice. "I need the truth now. What did that cliff do to you?" She closed her eyes. Her lashes trembled. "When I hit the water," she began, voice raw, "I should have died." The shadow-bound creature hissed from outside, rattling the roof. The lantern above flickered violently. Darian waited, chest tight. "I didn't just fall into the sea," she continued. "I fell into a rift. A tear between realms. Strathlarin found me. Pulled me in." He stiffened. "The city saved you?" "No," she whispered. A chill spread through the air. "The curse did." Darian's brows furrowed. "What curse?" Nila exhaled shakily, her hands trembling as they rested on the twins' small shoulders. "The Nightborne Curse," she said. Darian's blood turned to ice. "That legend is a myth." "No." Her gaze lifted to his, haunted, shimmering with secrets she'd carried alone. "It's real. And it awakened in me the moment I should have died." Darian stared at her, heart pounding so hard he could feel it in his teeth. "Nila." His voice softened, horrified. "That curse kills everyone who carries it." She nodded once. Slow. Resigned. "It will kill me too," she whispered. "If it's not contained." The twins whimpered. She pulled them closer. "But you survived," Darian said fiercely. "You lived. You carried our children. You." "The curse is why I survived," she whispered. "It bound itself to my blood. To my children's blood. It kept us alive when death tried to take us." He stared at her. "Are they cursed?" She shook her head quickly. "No. They inherited something else. A resistance to shadow." The boy lifted his chin timidly. "Mama says we're half light, half night." Darian's heart cracked again. "Nila," he whispered, stepping toward her. "Why didn't you come to me?" She laughed softly, a brittle, painful sound. "Because the curse killed my scent," she said. "I no longer smell like your mate. Not to you. Not to any wolf." Darian froze. His throat closed. The ache in his chest was catastrophic. Unforgiving. Bone deep. "Nila." She wiped her cheek with a trembling hand. "If I returned to Ilarion with twins who smelled nothing like wolves, your mother would have burned me alive before you ever asked a question." Her voice broke. "I hid because our children were safer in a city that should not exist, than with their own father." Darian's vision blurred with fury and devastation. He reached for her, slowly, gently, but she stepped back instinctively, clutching the twins. The shadowbound shrieked outside, clawing at the wall. The stone cracked. Darian's head snapped toward the sound. It's breaking through. Nila's eyes glowed brighter, veins flaring silver beneath her skin. It's drawn to the curse, she whispered. If it gets in here. A jagged black claw punched straight through the wall. The children screamed. Darian grabbed Nila and pulled her backward as the creature tore open the sanctuary wall with a roar. Its voice slithered through their minds. Luna of Shadows. Your death belongs to us. Chapter 7, The Kingdom That Lied. The wall burst inward in a shower of stone dust and splintered gears. The shadow-bound creature slithered through the opening, elongated limbs scraping along the ceiling, its body a mass of living dark smoke threaded with bone. Its eyeless head swiveled toward Nila, and the air curdled with a scent like rotting moonlight. Nila pushed the twins behind her. Darian stepped in front of all three. The creature's voice burrowed straight into their skulls. The Luna carries forbidden blood. The curse must feed. Darian bared his teeth, a guttural growl rolling from his chest. You'll die before you touch them. A second shadowbound clawed its way through the breach. Then a third. Nila's pulse spiked. The curse inside her flared in response, silver cracks racing across her skin like lightning under flesh. No, she whispered, gripping her arms. Not now. Not in front of them. Darian threw a glance at her, panic cutting through his fury. Nila, what's happening? She shook her head violently. Don't look at me. Just hold them back. But the creatures weren't aiming for Darian. Every eyeless head turned toward her, toward the glow beneath her skin. One hissed, stretching a claw toward her throat. Darian lunged. He shifted halfway, bones creaking, fingers stretching into claws, canines sharpening as his wolf ripped to the surface. His roar shook the sanctuary walls. He slammed into the first shadowbound with such force the floor cracked, driving it back through the breach. Nila grabbed the twins, dragging them toward the far wall. Stay behind me, don't move unless I say. The girl clutched her sleeve. Mama, your veins, they're glowing. The curse pulsed again, making her knees buckle. She steadied herself against the table. Her breath shook. Her vision blurred at the edges. Darian fought like a man possessed, tearing into the creature's smoky flesh, ripping bone from shadow. But every time he shredded one, the darkness swirled and knitted itself back together. Darian. Nila shouted. You can't kill them like that, they'll reform. So how do I kill them? He snarled back, slashing through a second creature as its jaws snapped inches from his face. You don't, she said. Her voice broke. They came for me. One of the creatures darted around Darian, accelerating into a blur of shadow, heading straight for Nila. Nila drew a breath that tasted of iron, and lifted her hand. Stay back, she cried. Or I will use it. The creature hesitated. The curse inside her surged, spreading tendrils of silver-black light beneath her skin. Darian froze mid-fight, eyes widening. You can't, he said, voice roughening. Nila, the curse will tear you apart. She met his gaze, resolve trembling but solid. Better me than them. The girl screamed as another shadowbound lunged for her. Nila moved without thinking, pushing her daughter behind her and letting the creature's claw rake across her own arm. Darian's roar split the air. He tore the creature off her and crushed its skull against the ground, but the body dissolved into mist instantly, reforming at the far side of the room. Nila staggered, clutching her bleeding arm. The boy sobbed. Mama, don't die, please don't die. The wound throbbed. Silver cracks spread up her arm, pulsing with each heartbeat. Darian turned, horrified. Nila, you're unraveling. I know. Her voice was barely a whisper. That's how the curse works. It answers pain with power, and power with death. Shadows crawled closer. 3 creatures now. Advancing. The curse throbbed harder, calling to them, inviting them. Nila clenched her teeth. They won't stop while I'm here. Darian lunged to her, grabbing her shoulders. His claws retracted instantly at the sight of her trembling. This is my fault, he growled, voice breaking. They came because you're alone, because you've been carrying this curse without a pack, without protection, without me. She stiffened. His grip tightened gently, his forehead nearly touching hers. Nila. I wasn't there when you needed me. He swallowed hard. But I'm here now. And I won't lose you again. Her eyes flickered, with disbelief, with agony, with the remnants of something that used to be love. Darian, she whispered. A shadow-bound creature lunged. Darian shoved her aside and took the hit, its claws sinking deep into his shoulder. He roared, ripping free, blood pouring down his arm. The twins cried out. Nila screamed his name. The curse inside her surged violently, answering his pain with a flood of silver fire. Her veins lit up like molten metal. No, Nila, don't, Darian choked. But she was past stopping. She extended her hand, and the curse burst outward in a sphere of violent silver light. The shadow-bound shrieked, disintegrating into ash. The walls cracked. The sanctuary floor split open. Darian reached for her. Nila. Too late. The floor beneath her feet gave way. She plunged into the glowing fissure as the curse swallowed her whole. Chapter 8, The City That Devours. Nila hit the ground hard, but not on stone. Something soft, warm, and shifting broke her fall. Like falling into the lungs of a sleeping giant. She gasped and rolled onto her hands and knees, coughing up dust that glimmered silver under the dim, shifting light. The fissure above her sealed itself with a grinding whisper, cutting off Darian's desperate roar. The world went silent. Too silent. Nila forced air into her lungs and pushed herself upright, holding her aching, glowing arm. The silver fissures under her skin crackled weakly like dying lightning. Where am I? The ground beneath her pulsed again, slow, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. She froze. No, not ground. Not stone. Not earth. Strathlarin was alive. The air shimmered as ghostly gears rotated overhead, massive translucent structures turning like the belly of some forgotten god. The walls breathed faintly, expanding and contracting. Shadows drifted through the mists like half-formed memories. Nila pressed a hand to the living floor. Her voice trembled. Not you, not again. The city answered with a low, distant hum. A familiar hum. A hum she'd felt the night she fell into the rift with shattered ribs and barely a heartbeat left. It had cradled her, healed her, remade her, and cursed her. Her pulse raced. She staggered to her feet and shouted into the swirling gloom. Don't take me again. Her voice echoed endlessly, as if the city liked the sound of her fear. A soft ripple traveled through the ground, like amusement. Nila. She spun so fast her vision blurred. A figure stepped out of the silver fog. Tall, lean, cloaked in living shadows that curled around him like smoke. His eyes glowed a steady violet blue, burning through the haze. Cyrus Varant, guardian of the rift. Half shadow, half wolf. The one who found her broken body 3 years ago. Nila Zand, he said quietly. You've returned. Her throat tightened. I didn't choose to. So few ever do. He stepped closer. The shadows around him recoiled from the crackling silver beneath her skin. You're unraveling, he murmured. The curse has grown, unstable. No thanks to you, she snapped. His expression didn't change. I saved you. You bound me to the curse. I bound you to life. He flared with shadow, voice echoing through the bones of the city. Do not forget the night I found you, dying broken, blood soaking the river beneath the cliff your husband pushed you from. Her breath hitched. He didn't, Darian didn't push me. But Cyrus held her gaze with calm, merciless certainty. Your memories disagree. Nila backed up a step, heart pounding. No. I remember. The wind, the cliff, the scream, my mother-in-law shoved me. You were delirious, Cyrus countered. Your mind fractured. The curse filled in the gaps. A chill shot down her spine. Nila, he said gently. Let the city protect you. Stay. The curse won't kill you if you surrender to it. I can't. She shook her head fiercely. My children. He cut her off with a soft, amused breath. They're safe with him for now. Her heart lurched. She stepped closer, fists clenched. Don't talk about them. Don't say his name. Cyrus tilted his head. Still tethered to the Wolf King who abandoned you? He didn't abandon me. His mother lied. His mistress lied. His court watched you fall. Cyrus's voice dropped, almost pitying. Nila, he left you long before the cliff. Pain stabbed her chest. Stop, she whispered. But Cyrus pressed on. He doesn't deserve to know the truth about those children. They belong to Shadowblood now. To you. To us. Her head snapped up. What do you mean, us? Cyrus stepped close enough that the air chilled between them. Strathlarin saved you because it chose you. The curse chose you. I chose you. The shadows behind him shifted, rising like wings. You were never meant to return to Alarion. Something cracked through the fog above, Darian's voice, faint but desperate. Nila. Nila. Her heart shattered. She spun toward the sound, reaching upward instinctively. The ground pulsed violently. Strathlarin reacted to her longing like jealousy tightening around her ankles. Cyrus's eyes hardened. He cannot reach you. He'll find a way, she whispered, breath trembling. He always does. You're still deluded, Cyrus murmured. And delusion gets you killed. Nila glared at him, fire burning through her fear. I escaped this place once. I'll do it again. Cyrus's smile was slow, tragic, almost fond. Nila, you didn't escape. He lifted his hand and the fog parted, revealing walls of silver light rising like prison bars. The city's pulse quickening. Rifts spiraling open and closed like jaws. You never realized, Cyrus said softly. Strathlarin let you live 3 years ago. Nila's breath caught. He stepped closer, shadows curling around her. But it will not let you leave twice. The ground opened beneath her feet. A rift yawning wide, tendrils of shadow reaching up to pull her under. Chapter 9, The Wolf King Descends. Darian hit the floor of the shattered sanctuary hard enough to crack stone. Dust rained from the ceiling. His lungs burned with the acrid sting of shadow-bound decay. His shoulder poured blood, but he barely felt it. Nila. His roar shook the chamber. Silence answered him. A heartbeat later, the twins rushed to him, terrified and trembling. Papa P. Papa, Mama fell, the little girl sobbed. Darian pulled them into his arms, holding them so tightly they squeaked. His breath shuddered. His mind spun. He'd lost her once. He could not, would not lose her again. He rose to his feet with the children clutched to his sides. The healer, a wiry old wolf named Lethrin, stumbled in through the cracked doorway. His eyes widened at the destruction. By the moons, what happened here? Darian's voice was broken glass. Strathlarin took her. Lethrin paled. The city that never was? That place kills anything with a heartbeat, wolf, human, or shadow. You can't go after her. Darian's eyes burned gold, too bright, too sharp. The wolf beneath his skin pushed forward, furious. She is my mate, he growled. My Luna. My children's mother. I will burn that cursed city if I have to. The boy tugged at his sleeve. Papa. Mama said the curse was inside her. Is she gonna die? Darian crouched, cupping their small faces. Not while I breathe. Do you hear me? Not while I am alive. The twins nodded shakily, trusting him with a purity that crushed his chest. Lethrin swallowed. You can't take them into Strathlarin, the city reacts to bloodlines. If they're tied to her curse. They're not going, Darian said flatly. You'll keep them safe. The healer hesitated. And you? Darian lifted his head. I'm going into the rift. Lethrin opened his mouth, but Darian was already moving. He strode across the broken floor, kicked aside rubble, and reached the still glowing fissure. Its silver light pulsed like a heartbeat. He placed his palm against it. The surface rippled like liquid. It recognized him. Or rather, it recognized her through him. A low thunder rolled through the sanctuary as the rift began to open. Darian. Lethrin shouted. You're insane. Beasts wander that realm. You won't find her, you'll drown in illusions. Darian turned, eyes burning. I would rather die in the dark with her than live in the light without her. The twins cried out, reaching for him. Papa. He kissed their foreheads, one after the other. I promise you, I'll bring her home. Then he stepped through the rift. The world folded. Light swallowed him whole. His wolf howled as reality twisted. And suddenly, silence. Cold. Wet. Breathing. Darian landed on his knees on something soft, like sinking into damp moss that pulsed with slow, nightmarish calm. He gritted his teeth and pushed to his feet. Fog curled around him, whispering in half-formed voices. He spun, heart hammering. Nila. The fog swallowed the sound. He forced his wolf senses outward, searching for her scent, her heartbeat, anything. Nothing. Not even the faintest hint of her. No, he growled. No, you can't hide her from me. The ground quivered beneath him, as if amused by his defiance. Darian bared his teeth. Show me where she is. The city didn't answer, but the shadows shifted. A figure stepped out of the mist. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Eyes glowing faint violet. Cyrus Varant. Darian froze. Every instinct screamed to tear him apart. You, Darian growled. Where is she? Cyrus smiled slightly, too calm, too knowing. Ah. The Wolf King arrives. Predictable. Where is my mate? Cyrus studied him with polite disinterest. Mate? You're late in claiming that term, aren't you? You left her to die. Darian lunged. But the city itself surged up like a wall of fog and slammed him back several feet. Cyrus didn't flinch. You don't give orders here, Wolf. Darian snarled, muscles trembling with rage. I will rip this realm apart until I find her. Cyrus stepped closer, shadows curling at his ankles like pets. You're in Strathlarin now. Here, shadows obey me. Darian spat blood. Then I'll kill you. Would you? Cyrus's voice softened. Even though I saved her life, while you believed she was dead? Darian froze. Cyrus's eyes gleamed. It was my arms that lifted her from the river. My voice she heard when she woke. My hands that kept her heart beating when the curse tried to tear her apart. Darian's chest constricted painfully. And you, Cyrus whispered. You celebrated another woman as your Luna. Darian flinched. Rage twisted into something worse, shame. Cyrus leaned in close enough that darkness brushed Darian's cheek. She's alive because I wanted her alive. She stays because I want her near. Darian's breathing turned lethal. You think she's yours? Cyrus's smirk deepened. No. She thinks she's free. The city around them pulsed. Darian's voice dropped low, filled with murder. You're mistaken about one thing. And what is that? Cyrus asked. Darian's eyes flared wolf gold. Nila does not belong to the shadows. He stepped forward, fists clenched. She belongs to me. The ground trembled. Not from the city. From something running toward them. Fast. Desperate. A familiar voice broke through the fog, ragged and terrified. Darian, run. He spun. And saw something monstrous curling through the mist behind him. Twice the size of the shadowbound, with a skull like cracked obsidian and tendrils dripping silver poison. Coming straight for him. Chapter 10. The Thing That Hunts Gods. Darian didn't think, he moved. Instinct, wolf, and raw terror fused into one violent motion as he dove sideways, the ground erupting where he'd stood. Obsidian claws as long as scythes slammed into the pulsing earth, splitting it open like wet hide. The creature towered above him. A nightmare stitched from bone, shadow, and silver poison that hissed from its fanged maw. Cyrus's expression tightened. Even he stepped back. Darian forced breath into his lungs. His limbs shook from the impact, but adrenaline roared through him. Nila, he shouted into the fog. Get back. Her voice trembled from somewhere behind the creature. I can't, Darian. It's drawn to the curse, Cyrus finished quietly. And the curse is unstable. The creature's skull jerked at Cyrus's voice. Not toward him. Toward Nila. Darian felt his soul crack. No, he snarled. You don't touch her. The creature lunged. Darian grabbed its jaw and shoved back with all the strength he had, claws ripping into its cracked bone. The beast screeched, a sound that made the fog itself recoil. But the impact hurled him backward, skidding across the rippling ground. His bones rattled. His shoulder tore open again. Blood dripped, steaming. The creature turned its gaze, empty sockets glowing with vicious hunger, toward Nila. Nila, move. Darian roared. But she couldn't. The curse blazed beneath her skin, cracking her veins like molten silver lightning. Her legs buckled. She sagged to her knees, breath ragged and thin. Cyrus swore under his breath. It's reacting to her power spike. If she doesn't stabilize, she'll die, Darian snarled. The creature lunged again, straight for Nila. Darian's wolf exploded out of him in a violent surge. His bones snapped. His muscles tore and reformed. Gold fire shot through his vision. He shifted mid-leap. Massive. Black fur streaked with moon silver. Eyes burning gold. The Wolf King. He slammed into the beast with enough force to shake the realm. They rolled across the pulsing ground in a tangle of claws, fangs, and shadow smoke. Darian tore into its spine. The creature shrieked, lashing with barbed tendrils that sliced into his ribs. Pain flared white-hot. But he refused to release his grip. Not again. Not her. Not this way. The creature thrashed violently and hurled him off. He crashed into a living wall that rippled like flesh and stone fused. His wolf snarled, vision flickering. Through the haze, he saw Nila collapse. Silver veins blazing so bright they almost lit the fog. Nila. He choked through the wolf's throat. Cyrus sprinted toward her, shadows wrapping around his arms like armor. Darian surged up, ignoring the agony shredding his flank. Don't touch her. Cyrus snapped back, I'm trying to save her. The beast struck again, barreling between them with a roar that sounded like the world cracking. Darian lunged, grabbing the creature's hind leg, dragging it back. The beast swung its skull, slamming him so hard stars burst across his vision. He staggered. The creature whirled toward Nila. Nila, who was gasping, eyes glazed, hands clawing at her chest as the curse surged hard enough to tear her apart from the inside. She whispered through trembling lips. Darian, it hurts. I can't hold it. Something inside Darian broke. The wolf vanished. The man returned, bloody, shaking, furious. Nila, look at me. Her eyes fluttered open, silver bleeding into the blue he remembered. He stepped in front of her, shielded her body with his own, claws half-formed, fangs bared. The creature hurled itself at them. Cyrus's shadows lashed out, wrapping around its skull and hind legs, slowing it but not stopping it. It's too strong. Cyrus hissed. It hunts Nightborne blood. It hunts Lunar blood. It hunts. It hunts what's mine, Darian growled. He braced himself. The creature slammed into him. His knees nearly buckled. Pain exploded through his ribs. He held the beast back by inches, claws sinking deep into its cracked skull. Nila, run, he gritted out. No, she sobbed, reaching for him. I won't leave you. The curse burst out of her palms, silver tendrils whipping into the fog, latching onto the creature's shadow. The beast shrieked. And froze. Every limb locked. Every tendon strained. Nila screamed as the curse ripped through her. Her body arching, light flickering violently beneath her skin. Darian spun, horrified. Nila, stop, stop, he shouted, grabbing her wrists. It'll kill you. But she shook her head through tears, voice shaking. I can hold it, just long enough, for you to kill it. As your king, he growled, voice breaking, I forbid it. As your mate, she whispered, I choose it. Darian's heart twisted. And then something worse happened. The curse inside her surged again. Harder, brighter, more violent. Too violent. Her skin cracked with silver fire. She screamed. And the creature broke free. Cyrus shouted. Darian lunged. Nila collapsed. And the beast drove its obsidian claw straight toward her chest. Chapter 11. the death that was promised. Time didn't slow. It didn't stretch. It snapped. Darian saw the obsidian claw plunge toward Nila's chest, and every instinct, every memory, every regret in his bones detonated. He moved before thought existed. One violent burst of motion fueled by terror and devotion. He slammed into her, shoving her sideways as the claw tore through the place her heart had been a heartbeat before. The ground split open beneath the impact. A shockwave of shadow rippled outward, sending Darian skidding across the pulsing floor. "Nila!" he shouted, scrambling toward her. She lay on her side, trembling, clutching her ribs where the curse light flickered erratically beneath torn skin. The glow wasn't steady anymore. It stuttered like a candle about to go out. The creature screeched. Darian lunged to his feet, just as it pivoted and hurled itself toward her again. No, he roared. He met the beast mid-charge, claws locking around its jaw. The impact felt like two mountains colliding, the shock rattling through his spine. The creature's jaws snapped inches from his throat, venom dripping in thick silver strands. Darian twisted, muscles tearing, and hurled the monster away. It crashed through a living pillar, sending shuddering ripples through the entire city. "Nila, get back," he started. But she wasn't moving away. She was rising. On shaking legs. On pure will. On agony. On something far greater than fear. Her eyes burned, a storm of blue, silver and shadowlight. Cyrus froze, staring at her with something like awe or dread. "Nila," he whispered. "Don't do this." She didn't look at him. Her gaze was locked on Darian. "I won't let it kill him," she said, voice frayed and raw. "Not again. Not ever." Darian's chest tightened painfully. "Nila, don't." But she stepped forward. And the curse rose with her. Silver cracks webbed across her arms, her throat, the side of her face, glowing so bright the fog recoiled in waves. The entire realm began to shake. Cyrus swore under his breath, shadows swirling in panic. "She's forcing the curse. If she tries to wield it, truly wield it, she'll burn herself alive." "Nila," Darian said, voice shaking. "Please." But she smiled at him. Small, pained, heartbreakingly soft. "You saved me once," she whispered. "When you didn't even know I lived." Her eyes glistened. "Let me save you now." The creature rose again, smoke swirling, new limbs forming from the mist of its own broken body. It shrieked, a sound that shredded air. Nila lifted her hand. The curse burst outward in a cyclone of silver fire, spiraling around her like a storm. Her hair lifted, her skin flickered, her bones glowed beneath her flesh. Darian's heart lurched. "Nila, stop. It'll kill you." She didn't answer. She stepped toward the beast. And the ground beneath her cracked open, silver veins racing through the stone like lightning. The creature lunged. Nila thrust her hand forward. Silver fire exploded from her palm, slamming into the monster with such force the entire realm convulsed. Shadow peeled from bone. Bone shattered into ash. The beast screamed. A scream that tore through Darian's skull like broken glass. But Nila didn't stop. The silver fire grew brighter. Brighter. Too bright. Cyrus shouted, "Asachi can't hold that, she'll rip her own soul apart." "Nila." Darian screamed, sprinting toward her. But the curse surged again, wrapping her in a vortex of blinding light. Her knees buckled. Her body arched. She screamed. A sound of agony so deep Darian felt it in his bones. He reached her, grabbed her shoulders, and the curse threw him back as if he were nothing. He hit the ground, gasping, forcing himself up despite the blood pooling beneath him. "Nila, Nila." The creature disintegrated into black dust. But the curse didn't stop. It kept rising, burning, devouring her from the inside. Darian staggered toward her again, fighting against the wind tunnel force of the magic tearing the world apart. "Nila, please come back." Her face lifted toward him through the light, eyes glowing, tears streaming, lips trembling. "Darian." She choked. "I can't for much longer." And then, her glow flickered. Just once. And the curse spasmed violently, ripping itself loose, a burst of silver energy shooting upward like a dying star. Nila collapsed. Unmoving. Unbreathing. Silent. Darian fell to his knees beside her, shaking hands cupping her face. Nila. Nila, no, look at me. Please look at me. But she didn't move. Not even a tremor. Cyrus stepped forward, voice hollow with something dangerously close to fear. The curse took too much, he said quietly. If she doesn't wake soon, she never will. Darian's voice broke. No. He pulled her against him, holding her limp body to his chest, forehead pressed to hers. Strathlarin pulsed around them. Slowly, rhythmically, as if it awaited something. Darian's hands shook as he whispered, voice cracking. Nila, don't do this. Don't leave me again. The ground beneath them split open. A silver rift yawned wide beneath Nila's body, pulling her down. Slowly, inevitably, toward the light. Darian screamed and held tighter, as the realm tried to take her. Chapter 12, The Luna Who Rose. Darian did not let go. Even as the silver rift widened beneath them, hungry, pulsing, pulling, he wrapped his arms around Nila's limp body and held on with the desperation of a man who had already lost her once and never survived it. No, he snarled at the city itself. You will not take her. The realm shuddered in irritation. Strathlarin's living floor rippled like muscle beneath their knees. Shadowed tendrils curled toward Nila's waist, their edges sharp as glass. Darian bared his teeth. His wolf roared so loudly the air shook. Nila Zand is mine, he growled, voice hoarse. And I will rip this entire cursed realm apart before I let you swallow her. Cyrus stood a short distance away, shadows recoiling from the raw power radiating from Darian's body. For the first time since his appearance, his arrogant calm fractured. She won't survive if it pulls her under, he said sharply. She won't survive if I let go, Darian shot back. Nila carries shadow blood, she must return to the source or the curse will. The curse will bend to her. Darian's voice cracked the fog. Cyrus flinched. The realm froze. Silence fell like a guillotine. Nila lay motionless in Darian's arms, skin pale, cracks of silver fading into dull gray. Her breath, if it existed at all, was too shallow to feel. Her hair spilled across his chest like a dark river. Darian pressed his forehead to hers. Nila. His voice was a whisper broken on the edges. If you go, the part of me that survived your death 3 years ago? It dies with you. The rift pulsed brighter. The ground lurched. Darian's grip tightened so fiercely his knuckles bled. You fought for me, he whispered against her temple. You fought for our children. Fight for yourself now. Fight, because I am not strong enough to lose you a second time. A warm tear fell on her cheek. A tear that glowed faintly gold. Cyrus inhaled sharply. Wolf tears don't glow. Darian ignored him. He pressed his palm over her heart, fingers trembling. Come back to me, Nila. Come back to the life you were owed. Come back to the throne that should have been yours. Come back to your children, who are waiting. The ground roared. A violent tremor split the fog. Strathlarin reacted, confused, furious, threatened. Gold light spread under Darian's hand. Not the curse. Not shadow. Life. Nila's fingers twitched. Darian gasped. Nila. Her body arched slightly, breath shuddering in her lungs. The rift spasmed, its pull weakening. Cyrus staggered back. The curse is reacting to you, your bond, your claim. The ground cracked violently, throwing him off his feet. Darian held Nila tighter. Nila, follow my voice. Follow the pull between us. You're my mate. You always were. You always will be. Her lashes fluttered. A faint tremor ran through her lips. Darian. His throat closed. A broken laugh escaped him. There you are, he whispered, tears falling freely now. The silver cracks along her arms flickered, lightening, softening, healing. The curse seemed to retreat, pulling back toward the rift like a tide drawn home. Nila exhaled raggedly and clutched his tunic. Don't let go, she whispered. Never again, he vowed. The rift shuddered, then collapsed. Slamming closed with a thunderclap. The city screamed. Fog exploded outward. Ghostly gears shattered overhead. The ground beneath them buckled. Cyrus shielded his face. The realm is collapsing, we need to move. Darian stood, lifting Nila easily into his arms. She curled against him, weak but alive, and the sound of her breathing nearly brought him to his knees again. He sprinted across the pulsing landscape as Strathlarin tore itself apart, collapsing into fissures of shadow and silver. Cyrus followed, shadows wrapping around them to shield them from falling debris. A single rift remained, and it tore open in front of Darian like a door of blinding light. Home. He didn't hesitate. He threw himself into the rift. Light swallowed them whole. They landed in the sanctuary of Strathlarin's entrance chamber. Lethrin gasped. The twins screamed with joy. Mama! Nila sobbed at the sound, arms shaking as she reached for them. The twins clung to her, crying into her neck. Darian fell to his knees, pulling all three of them into his arms, face buried in Nila's hair. You came back, the boy whispered. Nila kissed his forehead. I always will. Darian pressed his forehead to hers, voice low and fierce. You are never leaving my side again. She touched his cheek, thumb brushing a dried streak of gold tear. I didn't plan to. Behind them the doorway rumbled, Strathlarin sealing itself shut, its final roar fading into silence. Cyrus stood in the shadows, watching. His gaze lingered on Nila, something mournful, something resigned. Then he bowed his head once. And vanished. Darian gathered Nila into his arms again, lifting her easily. Let me take you home, he murmured. Nila leaned her head on his shoulder, exhaustion and relief softening every line of her body. Home, she whispered. Yes. Take me home. The twins wrapped their hands around his cloak as he carried them out of the ruined sanctuary. Toward Ilarion. Toward the life stolen from them. Toward the throne that would finally be reclaimed. By the Luna who refused to die. The end.